So after a weekend of FA Cup action and the one game that we did have going on in the Championship, what I thought we'd do for today's video is briefly discuss the action that went on over the weekend, but we'll be mainly focusing on the fixtures that are coming up in midweek in the Championship, and we've got some really tasty ones to get into today. But as always, all the games taking place in midweek will be in the description down below so that you guys can go ahead and make your score predictions. Just before we do get into anything though, I'll do a shout out to our sponsors over at OneFootball. As always, their link will be in the top line of the description down below. If you are looking to keep up to date with all the latest transfer news, all the latest news in general going around the Championship, then OneFootball is the best place to be. We'll have another transfer video coming out tomorrow, and we've got a lot of tasty rumours going around at the moment, which I'm interested to get your guys' view on. But as well as that, you can get live updates and all that good stuff to your phone. So like I said, OneFootball I would highly recommend. And before we do get into the video, I will include your guys' score predictions on screen now, so that if any of you did successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct, then fair play. I just got the one of them correct, that being the Hull against Chelsea game, so not too bad going from me. As we all know, the FA Cup is always very unpredictable. So I'll start the video out by going over the one Championship game that took place this weekend, and then we'll get into my midweek score predictions and talk about the FA Cup games throughout the video. So that's all Stoke beating Swansea by 2-0. The result does see Stoke going 7 points clear of Barnsley and the relegation zone. A massive result for them down at the bottom of the Championship, and you have to say, on a fantastic run at the moment. You know, we've seen a couple of glimpses from Stoke throughout the season where they'll put in a good performance but then not follow it up, but there really seems to be a bit of consistency about this side now, and another fantastic result. Some former players don't like celebrating against their former club, but Sam Clucas was having none of that after taking the lead after 55 minutes. I think he was happy to give a bit back to the Swansea fans as he made it 1-0, and then James McLean wrapped up in the last minute after a Swansea mistake in midfield. Swansea did have quite a bit of the ball and they had a few chances. You know, they hit the crossbar and they caused a couple of other issues, but Stoke defensively lately have seriously improved from the start of the season. You know, a squad that was bottom of the Championship not too long ago now. Seemingly they're much more capable of seeing out matches now, and you'd think that they may be able to string together a consistent run between now and the end of the season. In terms of Swansea, they did miss the chance to go back into the top 6, losing this one. The result leaves them 7th on 45 points, just 1 point outside the top 6. And speaking of the Championship table, that is what it does currently look like going into the midweek fixtures. So you have to say it's quite interesting with how it's shaping up at the moment. With the automatic promotion, the gap between the top 2 closing down a lot at the moment. It's still very tight within the top 6 as well, but you get down to the bottom of the Championship and there really seems to be a bit of a gap forming now, especially with Stoke picking up their form recently. Luton, Wigan and Barnsley all desperately in need of a consistent run of games now. But feel free to get all your thoughts in the comments down below as to what you made of your team's performance at the weekend if they were in action. But now without any further ado, let's get into these midweek score predictions. So starting out the midweek predictions with Blackburn going up against QPR at Ewood Park. QPR were in action over the weekend. They did get knocked out of the FA Cup by Sheff Wed. Put out a fairly strong side for that one, but Wednesday got the better of them. Quite suspect defending for the opening goal. I think it's fair to say Joe Lumley probably should have done better with that one. Then Wednesday grabbed the late goal. QPR did get a consolation goal back with Nahki Wells, where as of recording this video, it's still quite unclear what's going to happen with the whole Nahki Wells situation. Is he staying? Is he going to get recalled? Your guess is as good as mine at the moment. But going away to Blackburn won't be easy, especially after their last performance. They're coming off the back of that 5-0 away victory at Sheffield Wednesday, and I mean, after having the weekend off, you never really know how a team's going to react from that. Obviously, they'll be a little bit more rested, but maybe they'll have lost a little bit more of their flow. Lewis Holtby, someone who was fantastic for Blackburn in their last outing against Wednesday. He's going to be the player looking to fill the void left by Bradley Dack. He grabbed 2 goals in that one, and going forward, they were absolutely ruthless. And with them being back at home, I think I'm maybe edging towards Blackburn. They're only 6 points off the playoffs at the moment, and they do have a game in hand on Preston, who are currently the side sat in 6th. So for this one, I think I'm just edging towards Blackburn. I'm going to say 2-1, with Thief saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. Following on from that, we got possibly the game of the week coming up. Brentford going up against Nottingham Forest. I'm really excited to see which way you guys are swaying for this one. Forest currently just 1 point above Brentford in the league table, and if they do win this one and results go their way, they'll only be 1 point behind Leeds United. So a massive game taking place at Griffin Park. Of course, Brentford were in action in the FA Cup over the weekend. They did get knocked out against Leicester, but made a lot of changes for that game and put up a good account of themselves. You know, it was a well-worked goal from Ian Acho early on in that match, which went on to win the game for Leicester. But considering the changes that Brentford made, they still had a number of chances going forward, and Danny Ward, the Leicester goalkeeper, had to be forced into a few saves. But with both sides being back at full strength for this one, I'm not sure which way I'm swaying. Obviously, Brentford have got such a tight defence, especially at Griffin Park. They don't concede many goals, but Forest unbeaten in 6 in the league, have been on a really good run lately, and if either side was able to win this one, that would really put a bit of breathing space between themselves and the rest of the chasing pack who are looking to break into the top 6 at the moment. People like Joe Lolly seems to have broken back into form for Nottingham Forest lately as well, but with Brentford back at full strength at Griffin Park, you can never really look past them. I think for a score prediction, I'm slightly edging towards Brentford. I'm going to say 1-0. I don't think there's going to be a lot in this one at all. Thief is going to say 2-0 Forest. I'll leave a poll for you guys to vote on for that one because it could go either way. Next up, we then got Cardiff going up against West Brom. Both these sides involved in FA Cup action over the weekend. We saw Cardiff drawing with Reading, that game going to a replay. Callum Patterson opening the scoring for that one. Always a menace in the box with his physicality, but soon after that was levelled up by Yaku Meite and the game finished 1-1. West Brom, we then saw knocking out West Ham with a fantastic performance, it has to be said. They are missing quite a few players and key players at that coming into this one. Pereira, Diangana, and now Semi Ajayi as well. Semi Ajayi, who picked up a red card in that game against West Ham, will be suspended and the other two are injured. So it may force Bilic to change up the system a little bit, and that could play to their advantage. Obviously, the top players that they're missing there, but I think that in the league lately, West Brom have maybe become a little bit predictable and easy to defend against. So if they are going to be switching up the system with different players and rotating in those forward options, maybe they'll hit Cardiff with a bit of an unknown and they could go in there with that feeling of unpredictability, which may play to their strengths. But a fantastic goal that won it for West Brom from Connor Townsend from outside the box, arrowing past Darren Randolph. And I mean, in many ways, I actually think that Cardiff away is going to be a tougher test for West Brom than West Ham away was, because West Ham were just completely all over the place. You know, Charlie Aston could have had a couple of goals with the amount of chances that fell to him. But for this one, Cardiff don't lose many games at home. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw with the players that West Brom have got out injured. I'm not sure how they'll line up. So I'll say 1-1, Thief is saying 1-0 West Brom. After that, we then got Hull going up against Huddersfield. Another quite tough game to call this one. Hull were in action over the weekend. They did get knocked out of the FA Cup, but put in a decent performance against a strong Chelsea side. That first off, George Long really was keeping them in it with some fantastic saves. George Long probably been one of the most underrated goalkeepers in the league so far, actually. A fantastic performance with how he was keeping them in it. But the second half, they grew into the game and it was a good battling performance. Krasitsky grabbed them the goal for that game. They're going up against this Huddersfield squad who, I think because of the form of Stoke recently, Huddersfield are creeping further and further towards that relegation zone. Obviously, it is them just outside it at the moment with Barnsley sat behind them. They do currently have a 5-point lead over Barnsley with a game in hand as well, but their form has tailed off slightly, especially away from home. They seem to be struggling a little bit more recently. Their last game in the Championship, a decent point against Brentford, but away at the KCOM, you never really know what you're going to get from Hull. And I think that with their attacking outlets and with Huddersfield at times looking a bit suspect to the back away from home, someone like De Silva Lopez has been catching my eye quite a bit for Hull recently, and we all know about the talent of their wide men. Again, just edging towards them. I'm going to go 2-1 Hull in this game, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Hull. Next up, we then got Leeds going up against Millwall. I think for Leeds, looking to get their form back in the league, this probably isn't the best fixture that they were looking for. Obviously, bound to be a feisty match. Thinking back to the fixture they had earlier on the season, that one shrouded in controversy after the Berardi red card and Tom Bradshaw penalty. So Leeds will be looking for a bit of vengeance from that game, but Millwall aren't going to make it easy for them. They're unbeaten in their last 5 Championship matches. Now, they were in action over the weekend in the FA Cup, did get beaten by Sheffield United, but a decent Sheffield United side, and in the league, with the way that Millwall like to set up, they'll make it very tough for Leeds. They'll be very compact in there. They've been switching between that 3-4-3 and 4-4-2 so far this season, both being used very effectively. And since Gary Rowett has come in, they have been very consistent. Leeds, of course, will be without Calvin Phillips for this game, so that's going to be a bit of a loss for them. I'm not sure who's going to fill in that role. It's probably going to be Stuart Dallas, given that he plays pretty much every position on the pitch for Leeds anyway. But I'm interested to see how Bielsa rotates this team without Phillips. As well as that, they are being heavily linked with Augustin at the moment, and if they do get that signing over the line, that could be massive for Leeds for the rest of the season. We'll have more on that in tomorrow's video. But I think for a score prediction in this one, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I'm going to fancy Millwall to get a point out of this one, with Thief saying it'll be Millwall winning it 1-0. Next up, we then got Luton going up against Derby. Luton obviously sat at the bottom of the Championship at the moment. They have lost their last 4 matches and are 8 points adrift of safety at this point in time. We saw from their last game that they still can play some decent football. You know, they started fairly well in that game against Forest, took the lead in that one, but they just cannot defend, and it's not sustainable going forward. They've conceded 61 goals so far this season, and I mean, lately they're averaging conceding about 3 goals a game, and they're not going to get anywhere unless they manage to tighten up that defence for for the remainder of this season. And they're going up against a Derby side who have got their mojo back lately. They've gone on a decent unbeaten run in the league lately, are unbeaten in 2020. They were in FA Cup action over the weekend. Not the best game going on this weekend, the goalless draw against Northampton, but they did make quite a few changes for that one, gave a few of their youngsters some minutes for that one, and obviously a replay, not the best thing that they wanted, but even so, still in the FA Cup. And I'd imagine that with the changes that they'll make for this game, I think Derby probably will see off Luton. I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory in this game, with FIFA saying it'll be a goalless draw. Coming up next, we then got Wigan going up against Sheff Wednesday. Two sides fighting for very different things at the moment. Wigan find themselves 6 points adrift of safety in the bottom three, and Sheff Wednesday still scrapping for the top six. They're currently 4 points away from the playoffs. Only one win in their last 5 in the Championship, but Sheff Wednesday will take a bit of confidence from obviously beating QPR in the FA Cup over the weekend, and the fact that their away form, they seem to be playing a lot better away from home than they do at home at the moment. So going into this one, they have won 4 out of their last 5 away matches in all competitions, and they seemingly play with a little bit more freedom away from home. Obviously scored 2 decent goals in that game against QPR. It was a fantastic ball in from Adam Reach into Sam Winnell for the winner in that game. But Wigan at the moment are struggling in a number of areas for scoring goals, conceding silly goals, throwing away leads. They've only got 1 win in their last 5 now, and against the Sheff Wednesday side, who are very tough to play against with the way they set up away from home to play on the counter-attack, I think I am edging towards Wednesday. I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory in this game, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Wigan. And as our final midweek fixture, we see Reading going up against Bristol City. A tough game to close the video out with, to call really. Bristol City in their last Championship match, beating Barnsley by 1-0. Felt like a big result for them after some of their recent performances and results. Eliasson scoring late on in that one after they had been under the cosh for quite a bit of it. Felt like a fairly big moment for Bristol City, and a moment that their fans will be hoping they'll be kicking on from now. Obviously the top 6 race still very much open at this point in time. It's just who can string together a consistent run of results, who is going to be that side that goes on and makes it in the end. Going up against this Reading side, of course, they were in action in the FA Cup, a 1-1 draw against Cardiff in that game. More injury news for Reading though, Matt Miazga going off injured in that game, and Reading have been one of the sides who has been really unlucky with injuries so far this season. They can't seemingly put together, a consistent match squad week to week without a player picking up a knock here and there. But Reading definitely have it in them to score goals. Sometimes Bristol City can be a little bit open at the back, but for this one, I actually see it being quite open and a few goals being scored. And for a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw in that game. I see it being quite end-to-end, with FIFA saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. But guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video, and there are my score predictions for what I think is going to happen in the midweek fixtures. So as always, get your score predictions in the comments down below. I'm interested to see what you guys think is going to happen this midweek. But apart from that will now wrap it up for today's video, guys. So if you're going to enjoy, make sure you leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But apart from that, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.